One Zambia, One Nation, and thanks for joining us on ZANIS News. To present, my name is Juliet Mutale. Top stories in the news tonight. President Hichilema heads to Dakar, Senegal for the Agriculture Summit. 14-year-old boy with heart condition appeals for help. International Monetary Fund advises nations to build strong fiscal parameters. Plus 4 member squads selected for this year's World Chess Olympiad tournament. ZANIS News in detail. President Hakainde Hichilema has left for Dakar, Senegal, where he is expected to participate in the second edition of the Dakar Summit on Agriculture from January 25th to 27th, 2023. This is at the invitation of the President of Senegal and Chairperson of the African Union, Macky Sall. This is contained in a statement issued to ZANIS in Lusaka today by Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Stanley Kakubo. Mr. Kakubo notes that President Hichilema will join 18 other heads of state and government at the summit, which has been convened in collaboration with the African Development Bank and the International Fund for Agricultural Research. The minister indicated that it is during the summit that the AFDB is expected to announce its compact fund to support structural transformation in agriculture for countries such as Zambia. Mr. Kakubo says other presidential engagements include a high-level round-table discussion in agriculture, food security and integration, as well as preside over the presentation of Zambia's compact on agriculture. President Hichilema is part of a select committee of African heads of state who are tasked to ensure Africa mobilizes cheaper capital funds for the agricultural inputs and value chain investment. Still in agriculture news, the Department of Agriculture in Luapula Province has received over 10,000 liters of chemicals to fight the 4 armyworms. The officials have since commenced the distribution of chemicals to all affected farmers in the province. Here is a report.
Over 5,000 hectares of maize fields in Luapula Province have been affected by the 4 armyworm. The situation that has seen 20,000 farmers affected. To avert the further loss of crop, government has since moved in to supply chemicals to the affected farmers. Luapula Province Deputy Permanent Secretary Lloyd Mwansa, who received the chemicals, has urged farmers in the province not to panic as government is doing everything possible to ensure that crops are not destroyed.
The chemicals currently received are 10,692 liters of the whole province and 136 sprayers. According to the experts, we are told that this is more than enough. The government is very serious to see that food security is supreme. So colleagues farmers, don't panic.
Luapula Province Agricultural Coordinator Godwin Chate says the chemicals which the province has received is enough to cater for all the districts.
We have received these chemicals on time and we are going to start distributing today. Already the districts have gotten wind that the chemicals is in and already we are making inquiries. So all those that have transport within Mansa, we encourage them to pass through so that they get their quantities. We have already allocated quantities to each district. So
114 agriculture camps out of the total 215 in Luapula Province have been affected by the 4 armyworms. Kenneth Chomba reporting for ZANIS News in Mansa District.
ZANIS News continues. The Zambia Environmental Management Agency, ZEMA, has promised to ensure that potential environmental impacts from the mining areas in Lusangazi District in Eastern Province are mitigated. ZEMA Principal Inspector Christopher Kanema says chemicals such as mercury and cyanide that gold miners use in the area have the potential to pollute water in the streams. Take a look in this report.
Water pollution is among the most significant environmental problems facing communities in the gold mining areas of Lusangazi district of Eastern Province. This is because the remaining particles after separating gold from sand using chemicals such as mercury are discharged into the streams where people draw water from for drinking and other home use.
You put gold, then when it is mixed with gold, sand and the iron, you use magnet to remove the sand, or you use magnet to remove the irons. Then you use a paper. If you want to remove it, you start blowing it. Then the sand will be coming out. At the end, you get the magnet to remove the irons. Then you're able to see the gold.
People in the area are aware of the dangers of drinking contaminated water.
Ona ni manzi tukumwa pamuziva niva kusukira mu godi. So nupempha kuti boma tithandizire kuti tikumbireko boho kuti tikothandizika tukumwa kwa manzi ya kilini.
Where we have spring water, we actually use that water, we human beings, even the animals, our animals. So that I think it's better those people do not do any leaching. I learned of something like leaching, they want to be leaching. So no, this is very dangerous, more dangerous than using the simple chemical that they are actually separating gold from the impurities.
Authorities from the Zambia Environmental Management Agency, ZEMA, explains what must be done to avoid harm to the environment.
The Management Act requires that any activity like this one requires that you identify the impact on human health and the environment, and those impacts are supposed to be mitigated. Because as they are panning, they are discharging water which has the fine particles of sand. That sand goes into the river, and also the chemical that they are using. I think you heard about the mercury. So that has also potential to get into the streams and polluting the water.
The mining sector is key in fostering economic development. It is, however, important to mitigate its negative impact on the environment. Naomi Mwimba, Lusangazi District, Eastern Province.
A 14-year-old boy of Chipande village in Chinsali District in Mchinga Province is appealing for help to enable him access further medical attention for his heart condition. Derek Mwamba was diagnosed with a heart condition 3 years ago, has not been able to travel to Lusaka, where he was referred to for further medical attention due to his parents' inability to raise funds for his movement. Details in this report by Miriam Kumanda.
This 14-year-old, Derek Mwamba of Chipande village in Chinsali district in Mchinga province, was in 2020 diagnosed with a heart condition. Since then, Derek's condition keeps getting worse as his parents cannot afford to take him for further medical attention due to financial constraints. Cecilia Chipande, who is the mother to Derek, explains the challenges her family face daily due to her son's illness for the past 3 years now.
Not until in 2022 when he was diagnosed with a heart condition. He has a hole in his heart. Since then, I just take him for reviews as I could not afford to take him to Lusaka for further medical attention. Life generally is hard because I can't do Life generally is hard because I cannot do anything as I need to take care of him. Buying medicine for Derek is also another challenge the parents are facing.
The desire for this boy, as well as that of his mother, is for him to get well and get back to school.
I'm unwell and I need help to get better. I'm appealing for any form of help so that my son can get well again.
Miriam Kumwenda reporting for ZANIS in Chinsali, Mchinga Province.
Indeed, sad development there. We now take you to Western Province, where the construction of a 350,000 kwacha mother's shelter at Sigongo District Hospital has reached a 90% completion. Western Province Minister Kapelo Ambangweta has since visited the site as part of his tour of developmental projects in the district. Here's a report.
Access to health facilities in remote parts of the country is a major challenge, especially for pregnant mothers. This is why government has embarked on the construction of a modern mothers' shelter at Sikongo District Hospital. However, residents of Sikongo have bemoaned the lack of adequate bed space at the hospital.
Kakuli mutu akula ulukea kuina mukubona hala hande sikulu mwawadi akuna mimbeta hande mamosikito neti akuna ni mane mubusa wabuhechechi wo wasepisa luli ni kali ekulu ya hespangao disesincha.
Sikongo District Health Director has expressed delight at the positive strides that will be achieved with the completion of the mother's shelter.
So this mother's shelter will at least alleviate the challenges that people are facing when coming to access health services.
Meanwhile, the construction works have been rated at 90%, says the district works supervisor.
And the level at which the works are, I would say that this is 90%, because what is remaining just fittings and painting.
And Western Province Minister says the construction works of the maternity annex and mother's shelter are some of the fruits of giving the power of decision to the people through the Constituency Development Fund.
That is a typical example of what we mean by decentralization and the impact of decisions made locally by the people. Imagine the impact it will have on a person who would have stayed in the old one and now to come and stay in the new one, which is connected to power.
Mulima Stumbeko reporting for ZANIS News in Sikongo District, Western Province.
Still in health news, a 25-year-old woman of Kalwanga village in Mbala District in Northern Province has given birth to triplets. Senga Hospital Clinical Officer General Mwenda Chongomeka said the mother, Annie Nakazwe, and the babies who were delivered on Saturday night are in stable condition. He said the babies, who weighed between 1.8 kg and 2 kg, are now able to breastfeed. And Bala District Commissioner Annie Paul has encouraged expectant mothers to always attend antenatal clinic in order to protect themselves and the unborn children. Mrs. Paul explains that it is also safe for women to always deliver from health institutions as opposite to delivering from homes. The district commissioner, who was in the company of Mbala Member of Parliament Njavwa Simtowe, said this when she presented baby hampers to the mother of the triplet babies at the hospital. And Mr. Simtowe has commended staff at Senga Hospital for their good working culture. And the mother to the children, Annie Nakazwe, has appealed to government and well wishes to help her look after the babies, as the number of her children has increased to 7. In Central Province, 18 employees from a manganese mine in Serenje District are being treated at the University Teaching Hospital for blood contamination due to the exposure to chemicals. The employees of the Southern African Ferro Alloys Limited are alleged to have deployed some mental disorder and erectile dysfunction because of exposure to manganese. Daniel Billy now reports.
Central Province Minister Credo Nanjoa is on a special mission at Southern Africa Ferro Alloys Limited, a manganese mine in Serenje District. Mr. Nanjoa wants the management to do an examination on all the employees to ascertain their well-being.
Find the ends of the processes of those people who have been affected, who are claiming to have been poisoned, because that is another issue of consent. So as provincial administration, we are really paying attention to this for the safety of those others who are not yet affected. Because if that is proven that the 18 they have been affected, it means there is need to take more assessment to what others. Those who are still not yet showing, they could also know.
Mr. Nanjoa has assured the management of government support, but cautioned that safety measures must be put in place.
Provincial administration is paying much attention to activities in the province. We are there to support you. Our cooperation, our coordination, our collaboration is going to make the province grow. Otherwise, we just pass through to appreciate. appreciate that, but my office is really keeping the ear on the ground to hear what happens to the 18, those who were suspected to be affected by the manganese processing here.
Meanwhile, the management at the plant has assured the minister that all employees have been assessed.
Institute for all our employees. Okay. Of those 18 were suspected, basis the interviews doctor took from them. Okay. Then we were to prove, or we were to get the confirmed that the reason the doctor has shortlisted them, what is and why they are into the structure. The doctor need to articulate what the results are. So MRIs are still being done because it need to be done in batches, like 3 to 4 guys at a go. So that process is still ongoing.
Daniel Billy, reporting for ZANIS News in Serengeti District.
The International Monetary Fund, IMF, Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva has advised Zambia to promote resilience in its monetary restrictions in order to revive its economy. Mrs. Georgieva observes that strong fiscal space is key in economic recovery, especially with the effect of COVID-19 pandemic and Russia's invasion on Ukraine. She said this during a public discussion with the University of Zambia community and other stakeholders at UNZA today. Sandewalia now reports.
With the continued negative effects of the invasion of Russia on Ukraine, coupled with the COVID-19, the International Monetary Fund has advised countries to come up with strong fiscal fundamentals that can withstand such impacts. IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva said this can be done through the promotion of resilient parameters as a way of reviving the economy.
We have experienced two unthinkable events. First, COVID, that brought the world economy to a standstill for a prolonged period of time. Second, the invasion by Russia of Ukraine that pushed energy and food prices up dramatically, and those two factors combined led to inflation we haven't seen in decades, and that meant central banks needed to intervene by increasing interest rates. What we learned from these two shocks is a very straightforward lesson, that the world is going to experience these kinds of unexpected events more frequently than before, and that economies with strong fundamentals withstand these shocks better than those that are weaker. And that translates directly into how we understand the concept of resilience in 2023.
University of Zambia Acting Vice Chancellor Annie Squevila expressed happiness over the engagement with the IMF and the UNZA community.
Note the successful conclusion of the Zambia IMF Enhanced Credit Facility, which is hopefully going to provide us with latitude, firstly to provide relief on the exchange rate, and also in terms of the settlement of the debt restructuring program. This is necessary for our much needed impetus for growth and development.
Economist Austin Mwange also observed that the visit by the IMF to Zambia is vital towards the country's economic revival.
There are many members in the fund, and Zambia is one of them. So to choose Zambia as one of the countries to be visited, I think it also sends positive signals. And you know, in economics, there are certain moves which are non-monetary, but they send positive. You may have positive moves to the economy. So in this sense, we are saying the reputation for our nation is I think is on the world map,
For ZANIS in Lusaka, I am Sunday Warrior.
Now, the tourism industry is one of the economic sectors that is driven by accessibility and other infrastructure, and with government currently promoting the Northern Tourism Circuit, infrastructure projects such as the construction of Kasama Airport, runway and a 4-star hotel are being undertaken in Kasama, which will encourage tourist arrivals. Details in this report by Nkweto Mumba.
Government is improving the Northern Tourism Circuit as a preferred holiday destination for both local and foreign tourists. Improving accessibility and other infrastructure is among the major priorities being undertaken by government to help actualize this agenda. And Northern Province Minister Leonard Mbao, who inspected works at Kasama Airport, is confident that the completion of the facility will increase tourist arrivals.
This is the first step among the many steps that the New Dawn administration is taking place to make sure that we open the Northern Circuit. We cannot talk about tourism without government doing the basic infrastructure like this. The next time we are having such a project is going to be in Kasaba Bay, where we are expecting to have a contract again just this year, 2023, and many other projects that we are going to put in place to just open up the Northern Circuit so that we can allow now the business world to come and invest.
The provincial minister later visited the construction site for a 4-star hotel and a shopping mall being funded by the Workers' Compensation Control Board.
This is going to be the first ever hotel that we have ever had in Northern Province. Therefore, we are very excited to see this project expedited and finished as quickly as possible. This is what we need, more infrastructure coming into the province.
Actually subsidizing the government efforts in bringing up developments in the areas. We really appreciate you. And when it finishes, I know our youth are going to have employment.
Nkweto Mumba for ZANIS in Kasama.
ZANIS News continues. The National Pension Scheme Authority NSSA has donated 240,000 kwacha to St. Mary's Secondary School in Kawambwa District. This has been done to help the facility reconstruct the wall fence that collapsed in 2021 due to heavy rains. Lewis Changwe has more in this report.
The heavy rains experienced in Kawambwa in 2021 left a perimeter wall for St. Mary's Secondary School partially collapsed, thereby exposing the pupils to the outside environment. However, NSSA, through its corporate social responsibility policy, came to the aid of the school by donating 240,000 kwacha to reconstruct the wall fence.
To symbolically present a dummy check donation of 240,000 kwacha towards the construction of a wall fence, we received a request from the school authorities, and as NSSA, through our corporate social responsibility committee, we have responded to that request and we have made a donation. The donation was done, the money hit the account of the school last year, and the works have since begun. We have seen the works and we are happy with what has been done.
Kawambwa District Commissioner Godfrey Chilambwe witnessed the handing over of the dummy check to the school management.
I'm urging cooperating partners, organizations, institutions like NSSA to come on board and help government, because in partnerships we develop, in team working we develop as a country. We'll only develop if institutions like you, NSSA, are doing what you are doing.
The school is thankful to NSSA for the donation.
The works have been done. We really appreciate the NSSA institution for the support rendered to the school. We are really grateful and we pray that they may continue supporting us as an institution.
Lewis Changwe, ZANIS, Kawambwa.
We now take you to the Copperbelt province. Government has procured a lifeboat for Mumbuluma crossing point in Mpongwe district. This follows concerns over loss of life at the area, which is home to the crocodile-infested Kafue River. Noah Kangali gives us the details.
This is the Mumbuluma ferry point along the Kafue River, which also serves as a demarcation between Mpongwe and Lufwanyama district. The only means of crossing the crocodile-infested water body for the locals has been through a banana boat. It is for this reason that government, through the Office of the Vice President, has procured a boat to aid locals' smooth and safe crossing of the river. Copperbelt Province Deputy Permanent Secretary Daniel Kamenga graced the handover of the boat to the local community.
Agreed that we are going to source for the boat under DMMU. That's why all the proposals made were forwarded through the Office of the Vice President, so that this process can be quickened up. And within a short period of time, the Vice President responded to our request and the boat was procured.
Mpongwe Town Council Chairperson Emmanuel Masanga thanked the Office of the Vice President for facilitating the delivery of the boat.
Barely a month ago, we were here when we saw the need of having this boat. So today we are so delighted that our request has been attended to. The Deputy Permanent Secretary, sir, we are very, very grateful for your coming to commission this boat to the community. No, this crossing point is a very, very critical crossing point because it borders two districts, Mpongwe and Lufwanyama.
Meanwhile, the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU, says the boat will mitigate the loss of life at the ferry point.
We want the people of Mpongwe and Wanyama to own this boat. This is the boat which has been given by the government, which has been given by the President, the Vice President, and literally the whole government. So we want them to own this boat, not to abuse it, not to misuse it.
Locals thanked the New Dawn government for showing commitment towards the preservation of human life and property. Noah Kangali for ZANIS in Mpongwe District.
Finally, in sports news, the Chess Federation of Zambia has picked a 4-medal squad to represent the country at this year's World Chess Olympiad tournament for the disabled, slated for Serbia, Belgrade, from 29th January to 5th February 2023. Federation President Leslie Chikute says Zambia is among the 30 countries participating at the tournament for people with disabilities and will include gold medalist Edith Tambo Zai. Chikute says others making an appearance at the Olympiad tournament is Harry Sauti, Aaron Banda, and Robert Nkopi. He told ZANIS Sports in an interview today that the team was slated on merit and is confident that it will bring medals. He added that all teams have represented the country in previous competitions at different levels and have performed well. And Disability Rights Watch Director Wamundila Waluya says he is delighted to note that people living with disabilities are taking part in sports and other recreation activities in the country. Waluya says people living with disabilities also need to participate in mind-provoking sports like chess in order to increase their IQ.
The World Chess Body to be amongst the countries to take part in the World Chess Olympiad for the disabled. So we have a team of Mr. Aaron Banda, Mr. Robert Nkopi, Mr. Harry Sauti, and we have Edith Tambuzai, the gold medalist. So I think the preparations are going well. The Ministry of Sport has come along to make sure that there's smooth travel. The World Chess Body has basically also come along and helped us with the travel, accommodation, and so on. I think so far everything is going on smoothly. I would just like to thank, of course, the Ministry of Sport and government and thank the World Chess Body for giving us such a huge opportunity to go and participate at a very, very prestigious tournament, that is the World Chess Tournament for the Disabilities.
We as Disability Rights Watch are delighted with the world, the continent, and the region for the promotion of the participation of persons with disabilities in issues concerning recreation, leisure, and sports. We are particularly delighted with the current sports championship around the chess, which some Zambians are participating in. We are aware that sports and the recreation is very, very important for the social development of every person. And it is in particularly very important for persons with disabilities to participate in sports like chess, which is quite mind provoking, which is more of a computation, because persons with disabilities are normally considered to be dormant, but if they participate in these mind-provoking activities like chess, it encourages them, it promotes their self-determination, and it promotes their self-esteem.
That sporting item concludes ZANIS news, but before we go, a recap on the headlines. President Hichilema heads to Dakar, Senegal for the Agriculture Summit. 14-year-old boy with heart condition appeals for help. International Monetary Fund advises nations to build strong fiscal parameters. Plus 4-member squads selected for this year's World Chess Olympiad tournament. Thank you so much for staying with us. Remember, we are one Zambia, one nation. And remember to also follow the COVID-19 guidelines. My name is Juliet Mutales saying pleasant viewing.